Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Every Second Counts podcast. My name is Tom Ettinger, and I am here today on episode 9. 9 episodes already. So if you haven't listened to 1 through 8, go ahead and go back and listen to them. However, for today's purposes, you don't have to go back and listen to them. This episode is titled Giving Power. So, what does that mean? Well, we'll get into that here in a minute, but I just wanted to put that title on your heart. Let you think about that. What are you giving power to? What do we get power to? How does it affect us mentally and physically? So, real quick before I get into that, I just want to do a little housekeeping. Uh, so, Warrior WOD, I got your 6 virtual competitions taking place June 16th to the end of the month. So check it out. Go to warriorwod.org, go to events, register for it. Go as a team, compete. All proceeds go to veterans that are suffering with PTSD, and Warrior Wad's going to utilize that for their company's needs to provide a 6-month gym membership to either, CrossFit gym, Orange Therapy, or your Planet Fitnesses, things like that. So you got a 6-month dietitian through them for veterans, and then you have a battle buddy, someone that's going to go with you through the 6 months. Then this is for recovery for those that are listening. This is PTSD recovery to get physical because as Warrior Wad says, exercise is the best prescription. So keep that. If you haven't been to warriorwad.org, be sure to check that out. 22 Mohawks right now. 22 Mohawks, Dave and Stacy, great sponsor to the show. But right now, go to 22 Mohawks. They're putting on a 5-mile run for a vet May 13th, Saturday, up in Massachusetts. So go to 22 Mohawks website, go to their Facebook page or their Instagram page, get more details on how you can sign up for that 5-mile run event for a veteran, which is great. And lastly, Hero Stock 2023, September 9th, in Ashland, Nebraska. I had an opportunity on another podcast last night and break bread with the CEO, chairman, and outstanding person, Jason Steiner, who runs Hero Stock. So if you're trying to find out the details about Hero Stock, go to Facebook, go to Hero Stock 2023, or go ahead and follow Jason Steiner and see all the good input that he has going out for Hero Stock right now. So with all that in order, let's just break into it. Giving power. So the purpose of this podcast and Sit Rep 22 and all the new endeavors I'm going to try to bring to the table is for veteran suicide. That power we've given to that number 22. Those watching on YouTube, you can see that I have the flag behind me. 22. We give power to that number. We give power to that number. When you give power to something, it causes an emotion, it causes a reaction. So when we give power to a organization, let's say we're a number, that is mentally and physically going to do something to you when you give power to it. I feel a lot of times as veterans, we give power to our symptoms, we give power to our ailments, we give power to opinions and opinions of people that aren't even in your life anymore. So keep that in mind. I was thinking about that this week. We give a lot of power to people maybe we knew, family members, or people we served with, and we give that power to. If now you're currently, say you're still in the military or you're out of the military or you're just a regular person working a normal job, what do? You give power to your coworkers. You give power of their opinion, their thoughts, and how you get viewed. No matter if you want to do it on purpose, it just happens. We give power to things, negativity, and that's the beginning of the day, folks. I believe, when you wake up and you give power to things that aren't important, they pay rent. They hold space in your mind. And The worst part is for veterans, people dealing with things, or overall mental health. I'm not going to just seclude veterans on this. When you're dealing with overall mental health, you give power to these things, and they become the controlling force. Um, so when I would have decided to think about this episode, I started thinking about the power of social media and what you give power to, because nowadays there is no more just being a this is me kind of person. There's always a new trend or a new thing that and this only applies to, people that allow that social media to give power. If you're giving power to it, to the opinions, to the people you see living their lives, to the people that are, doing their thing, and you give power because maybe they're more successful than you, for what you call success. Maybe they got a bunch of followers. Maybe they post some good content and they got a bunch of likes. That can be emotionally draining to some people who are in the same space, but they post to release. Let me say that again. They post to release. When I originally started posting on Instagram and Facebook, everyone had Facebook. But when I started posting on Instagram, it was many years, about 10 years ago now, but it wasn't for till the last 2 years that I actually started talking and just providing my view and how I feel, and there's growth in that because I can look back now in the videos and see the growth and the maturity of me utilizing the platform, to be honest. And you could give power to the platform and it could control you. You always see people, I need breaks. I need a break from social media. That's because you've given power to it. You've given power to that device, your phone, social media. You've given power to it because you've neglected other things in your life to be able to scroll. Let me break that down for you. In my case, when I originally retired from the Marine Corps, I had a gang of time of being able to sit at home and relax. And when you have that time, and you say you weren't pretty much involved with social media, when you start getting into that world, you start trading your time for the social media time. At the end of the weeks, you always see, if I'm talking for an iPhone, it'll tell you your screen time, how long you've been on what apps and internet, and what power you're giving your phone. Listen to that. The power you're giving your phone is telling you, hey, check it out, Jack. You're spending way too much time on this device. And I'm a victim of it. I think as a society, we're all victims of it, but we give power to it because first thing in the morning, vice grabbing a Bible, vice getting in the word, vice getting in some positivity, some maybe workout in the morning, maybe pray, maybe get some physical exercise in the morning, something that you're giving power to in the morning to benefit yourself. What's the easiest thing to do? Let me see what everyone did while I was sleeping. It's really quick to be able to just hop on and see, all right, let me see. And then what does that do? That's that wormhole. Next thing you know, let's say you start on Facebook, then you're on Twitter, then you're on Instagram, then you're on Snapchat, then you're on TikTok, and at that point, you've given so much power away because whatever you were focused on for that day could be kidnapped just because of the time you traded, because of the power you've given up. And a lot of people might disagree, but I feel, and I am 100% guilty of all this. So it's easy for me to talk on it because I know it's harder to disengage. It's harder to disengage as a society now from social media. It's harder to disengage and not give as much power, but that's where we get our news from. That's where we get our entertainment from. That's where we entertain ourselves. That's where we give our testimonies. We give our journey updates. We give our fat loss updates. We show our pictures. Each person that's maybe running or they're biking or they're knitting or whatever, whatever they fell into, now they're projecting it to the world, giving that power. And I feel that, that's the decline. We give power to outside agencies as far as social media, our phones, negativity, all these different aspects to where we don't give power to ourselves. That power we give to other things declines our confidence in our own abilities because we feel inferior to the things we see. So you got to watch out the power you're giving out. So let's say first thing in the morning you get to work, or if you're at home you log on, whatever the case be. Let's not get silly with it, but you know, first thing you do, you get to work. Maybe it's a look, maybe it's a conversation, maybe it's a thing you got to do first thing when you get to work. If it's a negative thing, if you're thinking negatively, I believe on your way to work, or you're not excited about the day because say you had nothing to catapult you into any kind of positivity first thing in the morning. So now you're dragging throughout the morning, you get to work, something there could set you off. And I believe it happens to me. And that negativity could ride with you. And now you're giving power to that negativity. You're giving power to everything that's not going to help you be mentally prepared for the rest of the day. You're draining yourself, your energy, giving things at work, other coworkers, people, family members, friends, things throughout the day you're giving this power to. And if you don't re-engage and at some point during that day have that come back through to where you could realize, you know what, let me stop worrying about this. Let me stop thinking about this. And the reason I bring this up is when you're giving power to things, you're decreasing your own power, but your focus has changed. So as a veteran, being on medication, it's a daily task. You got to take this medication. I have to take my medication every day. And as a result of me being reliant on the medication, when I don't take it, say I forget to take it or I'm rushing or whatever the case may be, my mind is now flipped. Now, suddenly, because I didn't take my medication, or say yeah, we'll go with medication. Say I didn't take my medication. Well, but when you look at it like that, now I'm just steady worrying about the repercussions. I gave power to not being able, that situation of not being able to take my meds. And then now I'm worried about the repercussions that now, since I didn't take them, what's going to happen? Am I going to freak out? Am I worried? So my anxiety only gets more. I get worried. I get more depressed. But when you can stop that power and say, you know what, I'll regroup, come back, figure it out. I'll retake the pills when I get home, and then we'll be good. But that takes time to get there. That still takes time. Every time you unplug from one thing and plug into another thing, you're giving power now to something else. You're giving power to your job. You're giving power during your workout. You're giving power during social media. You're giving power throughout the day to everyone but yourself. So when it's time to recharge yourself, where do you get that energy from? Some get it from Jesus, God, from prayer. Some get it from exercise. Some get it from family members, conversations. Some get it from therapy. You have to be able to recharge. And I feel when you don't when you're going in there with that dead battery, you've given your power to everything else. You've given your power to a stigma. You've given your power to something else in your life, vice yourself. So you have to get that recharge back. You have to get that passion, that purpose in your life for that day. Every second counts isn't just a catchy podcast name. Every second during that day counts because you never know what's going to happen throughout the day. As you're giving energy out and you're taking it in throughout the whole day, you got to be cognizant of to the people you're around, the people you're with, and the people maybe you might not see, but you'll see later in the day, say family members, kids, whatever the case is. You got to stay plugged in. You got to have that power because if you're emotionally and physically drained off an ailment, off a say off PTSD, off depression, anxiety. If you're dealing with these things, that takes a hard part on your body, and a lot of people don't realize that it's not just a what I have; it's something you are now living with. And if you had any trauma in your life, like I said, it's not just for military, it's not just for veterans, but if you've had trauma in your life or you've had bad situations and you know things that you could constantly on a daily basis um, click back to that will drain your power and your energy. I believe immediately because it happens to me. If there's a situation, if there's a time, if there's something that maybe happened the day before, weeks, months, years ago, that can come back and drain you immediately. So you got to come up with something that's going to help you while you're dealing with this situation. Now, while I was going through the Mission 22 recovery and resilience program, I with my coach, the best thing that worked for me was counting down from 10. Counting down from 10 and just clearing my mind, focusing on one object, and then restarting and trying to think another way or going another way and not clog my mind with demons, with nightmares, with cloudiness. When you're giving that power away, something has to take its place. So if you're allowing other things to take the place of your positivity, of your energy, of your moving forward, you're gonna walk around drained all the time. And when you walk around drained all the time, you don't have the energy to talk to people. You don't want to talk to people. And you just want to just sit there like a pig in its sty because it's the most comfortable. Because that's where that darkness, that isolation, that's where to me that I'm the most comfortable alone. It's the most scariest time when you're alone because that's when the thoughts come out. And that's when you just detach, plug in, and your mind runs wild. And that can happen to everybody at any given time every day. So you always got to watch, you got to secure that power you have and where you're giving power. Say you go a couple hours without being on your phone. Say you're doing yard work or you're at work or you're working out. A lot of things disappear while you're focusing on more positive things that can help you grow mentally and physically and mature in what you got. I mean, it's real over time. The longer every day I'm out of the Marine Corps is the day I'm getting stronger being in my own skin, if that makes sense. Because there's a detachment there. A lot of people they hold court on Facebook. They have a lot of family, they have a lot of work, work people on Facebook. So Facebook becomes the safe place. This is where I post stupid memes. This is where, I do my thing. Then you have Instagram. Instagram is where, you might do a little different things. You do, I'm acting a little different on Instagram because I don't know these people on Instagram. Say a couple people you work with now from Facebook, then you transfer to Instagram. And if you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. That energy that you're giving to the people on Facebook is a little different energy than the people on Instagram. And for those people on Snapchat and TikTok, that progression of you changing because of the audience. Um, the greatest power I ever got was taking it back. I am who I am, and I'm going to be who I'm going to be. And don't matter if I knew you in middle school, if I served with you in the Marine Corps, or whatever the case is. You have to be who you are, and that gives you energy, that gives you confidence, that gives you strength. When you know your failures, you know your strengths. When you give power to people that aren't even in your life, maybe you got to watch who you're giving that power to because when you're dealing with something that controls your mind or controls your emotions, you've heard the term I became powerless, or you can't become powerless. That is real. it's paralyzing, some of these things where you could overthink PTSD, something that may happen in your life, something that strikes you like lightning, and then what happens? It takes over the day because you weren't prepared. But it takes time. So you got to ease up on the social media. Be who you are everywhere, inside work, outside work, at home, out with others, on social media. Be who you are, and then you'll gauge your energy. When you start changing and being who other people want you to be, you've given energy away. So just keep in mind, while you're giving energy out throughout the day, how are you getting that energy back? I know it's extremely draining if you're trying to support other people, or you're supporting your job, or you're supporting maybe your workout partner, or when you give energy out and you're not getting it back, it becomes extremely draining on yourself, your mental, and your physical aspect. And a lot of times, when your mind is captured in these instances to where you have no energy because you've given it out to everything but yourself. And then you have to sit there and wonder, well, wait a minute, how do I get this back? You got to get your energy back. You have to figure a way how you could store it throughout the day. How do you make the biggest jump in the morning to make sure, you know what, I'm going to start today good, and this is how I'm going to go forward. You got to have that conversation with yourself. You gotta be prepared for the day. You have to plan the day out. You have to focus on every second of the day, and then eventually, it gets easier. But you have to start in that dark place, and with those thoughts, and then you got to start, peeling the onion back and trying to find out, where can I get energy from, and where could I stop giving energy to. So that's what I have for this week. I just wanted to come on here and drop something that's been on my mind a lot. What you give sometimes doesn't replenish what you get back, and so you got to get your energy back, and you got to make sure when you start that week, man. When you go in to start that week, you are powered up, because if you ever woke up in the morning and you grabbed your phone, turned your alarm off, whatever the case is, and you look and you're like, "Ah, charger wasn't plugged in all the way." Some people, I mean, me myself, that could ruin the day right from the gate, right from the beginning. The day is ruined. Know why? Because your cell phone battery is low, and that's draining. Oh, it's gonna be such a long day now. So keep in mind where you're giving your power. Protect the way you get your power, and make sure you're utilizing your power throughout the day for yourself and for positivity, because ain't everything's not just grin and bear it, because eventually that battery's going to be dead. So you got to keep yourself charged up. So remember, go out every day, push yourself, push others with you, and always remember to make sure every second counts, and keep that battery charged. Every second counts. Go get busy.